position, how are you going to get a job? When you say, oh yeah, I got an article that's at Jibs, and I'll go, who cares? It's going to be there 18 months. And oh, by the way, as a brand new student, you got a 15% chance competing against me to get an article in. The answer is, it doesn't have to do it. So I'm going to discount it. But you've got to sit there and say, I've got to have a flow of articles coming out, because each one of those is going to take a year to 18 months to fruition. And oh, by the way, 80%, 85% of the time I'm going to get a rejection letter that says, and I did. And I got to say, oh, crap. Now I got to reposition this for this different journal. Don't take that article and say, well, I'll send it someplace else because you're going to get rejected there. Send it someplace else, you're going to get rejected there. You've got to change it to position it for the journal that you're sending it to. Don't, and this is, I put this in because my PhD student this year is really good. And she's really good, but she's a German. She's a perfectionist. It's even worse. Her dad is in charge of quality control for all Mercedes in the United States being manufactured. So, I mean, Miriam is just, she's just, everything is so stiff, and she's beautiful, and she's smart, and she worked with me now for about 9 months. She's published 4 articles, but she can't turn loose of anything. And it's just, well, there might be a mistake in here. And so what I did to make her understand that was, I said, go to the Academy Manager Review, randomly pick 10 articles, and I will find 10 mistakes in those 10 articles. Each 10 in each one of the articles. Oh no, so I did it for her. And what I was trying to say to her is, nothing's perfect. People are afraid to be judged. People are afraid to say it's wrong. I like it when people say it's wrong, because if they're constructive, they say, this is what you did wrong. I go, oh great, I'll do that, change it, and send it someplace else. They're doing the work for you. And again, most people get mad when they get a rejection. I think it's great. I don't like it, but I think it's great because if they've done a good job, they've told me, here's what's wrong with what you did. Oh great, I didn't think of that. Boom, I changed the article. But what you've got to do is, you've got to write something and get rid of it. No one's going to accept an article that's sitting on your desk. No one's going to accept an article that's in your filing cabinet. You've got to send it to them. The next thing is really important. I think the key for the next 10 to 15 years is not writing in marketing. It's not writing in MIS. It's not marketing, and it's not in management. It's at the intersection of those things, where they fit together. I was a dean of a business school. I wasn't really interested in somebody that was an MIS person and thought it was a science and all that. That's what they were going to do. I was interested in somebody that said, I see the application of MIS in accounting. I see the application of MIS in marketing. I want to work with people in marketing and management because I got a technical tool that they can use. One of the guys I work with is an MIS guy. And what his thing is technological readiness. How quickly are people ready to take on a new technology? And then we've looked at radical technology as incremental technology. And we've identified the characteristics of companies that will take on both of those. Then we've identified people that are willing to take it on. What Gary's doing, though, is he's not doing it in a MIS context, he's doing it in a management context. Okay? How can I put my discipline in another discipline? Intersections are important. What we've done, unfortunately, I think, is we've taught people, about what goes on inside the organization. And then what we say, if you're going to be successful in business, what are you going to do? Your entire organization is together. Strategic alliances, relationship marketing, whatever you want to call it. Have you ever seen a theory, or have you ever studied management between organizations? Not much. I think it's a key. I think doing your research in an integrated fashion with another discipline is a key. Don't go off and just play in your field alone. Play with other people, because they're going to come up with something, hey, we could use this. I was working with one of the students down at Griffith yesterday. Her idea is, she's looking at Indian students who come to developed countries, are they outcasts? And so I've written 3 papers on the liability of foreignness. What's wrong with you guys going to another country? Is there going to be a stigma attached to you? Okay, the answer is, there is. Now, is it warranted, and are you all from the same country? The answer is no, but there's a stigma. Okay, what do I do about it when I'm a manager managing this person? What do I do about it when I'm the person that has the stigma attached to me? And we went through, and she's going to write a dissertation. She's going to sit down and say, I'm going to go measure where I can send certain groups of people to see whether they're accepted. An example would be, there's a shortage of nurses in Australia. And chancellor at the university I work at, said, I want you to study that and tell us how to solve that problem. And I've got an idea of what you can do. But then there's an ethical issue, which is, if I take nurses from Nigeria and move them to Australia, first question is, what happens in Nigeria? It crashes. They don't have any nurses. I bring them here, and I say, your nurse is Nigerian. You go, well, no, I don't want a Nigerian nurse. Okay? If you have somebody from Saudi, that's fine. I don't want a Nigerian nurse. So we're looking at how do you use these people to put them back in the organization. But what we're talking about is intersections. Okay? The way these things fit together. Don't isolate yourself in a discipline. Okay, you'll do this again. Okay, particularly you guys that are in MIS. It's a field, in my opinion, it's going away. Unless you figure out how to become allied with marketing, management, finance, whomever it may be. I don't think it's a standalone discipline. I think it's a discipline that's extremely important, but I think it has to be applied at the intersection of these other things. Learn how to play with other people. Don't get mad when your paper's rejected. You can't take it personally. It's really hard. I've been doing it 40 years, guys, and I still get these rejection letters, and I'm going, this person has no idea what they're talking about. They'll say, go look at Harvey's article, it explains it. I'm Harvey. You know, I'm the guy that you said go look at it. And again, it's almost like they haven't read the article. And I think you can review an article with never reading it. I can teach a case to you tonight and never know what the case is. And I can run the entire class and go, oh boy, that really went well. I have 5 questions I asked you. What business are you in? Boom. That's 20 minutes of conversation right there. I don't even know what the case is that you've read. What you need to do, though, is you need to learn to take, and they're not always easy to do, because some of them are just stupid, but learn to take the suggestions and make a modification. What I do is I'll get a rejection, and rather than sitting fuming about it, I'll put it back in its oven. And it may sit there for a week, not too long, because then you don't want to get back to it. And then within a week, after my blood pressure's gone down, then I'll pick it up and say, okay, what can I pick out of here that will make this a better paper? What can I do to take the information they gave me to position for this other journal? I cannot emphasize to you enough, you don't send out generic articles. They will not get published. And remember, every time it's rejection, it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to get that rejection that I could have told you you would have gotten the first day. I sent out an article 2 days ago that I know is going to get rejected. Why did I send it to that journal? Because they'll do a great review. And I can't figure out, it's Tim Keesley and I are working on a faculty member's bond. I can't figure out how to make the thing work. I can get it real close, but it's kind of like the Rubik's Cube. I've got something missing. One of the squares won't line up. I'll send it to them, and somebody really smart can say, here's how you move this square. Okay? We can afford, with 22 articles accepted, you can afford to take that risk. But what you can't afford is just send out a paper and say, well, I'm not going to change it, and I'm not going to modify it for the journal that I'm sending to. You will not be successful. How can you be creative? I think the biggest and most important thing we can do, which we don't do with you, is teach you how to look at the ceiling and think. I write papers on the topic of curiosity. How can I make you curious about things? How can I make you just say, as I've been telling you, that's a neat idea. Boy, I'd really like to learn about whatever in the world it is, counterfeit products. Why did I study counterfeit products for 2 years? My business partner died because he had a counterfeit pacemaker in his heart. That made me interested in that topic. Okay? It's been 2 years, and I figured out what to do, I think. I figured out how to control it to a degree. But stimulate your creativity. Don't be mechanics. Okay? Some of you guys are great in stat. That stat's going to change from today, 5 years, 10 years, 15. You're going to be outdated in 10 years unless you are really diligent about continuing to study stat.